Assalamu alaikum. Today our lecture is about the sizing process. Sizing process is done in the weaving. Weaving is the process of fabric manufacturing in textile. In this topic, we will discuss about the different things like objectives of sizing process and properties of sizing ingredients and sizing calculation. Next, precautions are things to remember during the sizing process and effect of sizing percentage of end breaks are the fabric strength. Next, we will discuss about technological changes on the fabric due to sizing process. And in the last, we will discuss about the disadvantages of sizing. Sizing is the process of giving a protective coating on warp yarn to minimize the yarn breakage during the weaving. Sizing is the most important operation in preparing warp yarn for weaving, especially with the cotton yarn. The smallest error in the sizing process may be very harmful. Basic function of the sizing, you can say, giving a coating to the warp yarn, and that coating provide the strength to the yarn. Due to gain of this strength, yarn's performance on the loom improves, and so end breaks and looms efficiencies definitely improves by this process. Objectives of sizing, it increase the smoothness of warp yarn as coating, just coating it due to coating, smoothness of the yarn improves, and it reduce the hairiness of warp yarn. That is ultimately the purpose of coating is improving strength, smoothness, and hairiness of yarn and increase the strength of warp yarn, as we have discussed in the previous lecture or previous slides. In some cases, sizing is now done to modify the character of warm yarn to have an effect on fabric weight, stiffness, handle properties, and the next to improve the weavability of warp yarn, and next to maintain the good fabric quality by reducing hairiness, weakness, and increasing smoothness and strength of the yarn. And the next objective is to increase the strength and breaking strength for cellulosic yarn. Then it increases the elasticity, and the next remove the projecting fibers. Projecting fibers, you can say hairiness, are protruding fibers mm, that are outside the main body of the yarn. Produce the electrostatic formation for synthetic or blended yarn. These are the objective, basically providing smoothness and improves strength of yarn and giving elasticity, improve elasticity of yarn for the next process. Properties of sizing ingredients, it should be easily removed during the wet processing process, and the second, it should not do any harm to the fiber or yarn. Adhesive substances should be more adhesive. It should give good fabric characteristics, and the next, it should be have ability to dry instantly after sizing process. It should not cause any degradation of textile material. It should not change the color of colored yarn or shade. It should be cheap and available. These are the properties required for the sizing material, because in the weaving sizing is done, and after the next process desizing is done. So it is very important that sizing material should be removable, and it should not harm full for the fiber and the yarn. Next is size take up calculation. Size take up calculation. This is the formula to how to calculate the size take up. Weight of the size yarn minus weight of unsized yarn over the weight of sized yarn multiplied by 100, and this will give the weight of size material and over the weight of unsized material multiplied by 100. That will be the size take up result of that fabric or warp yarn that is being sized. Things to remember during the sizing, as we have discussed. If the hairiness of the yarn is high, then concentration of size would be high. If the twist is high in the yarn, then concentration of size material or the sizing recipe would be high. If the yarn is finer count or yarn fine count, then concentration of size would be high. If the yarn is coarser, then concentration of size would be low. If the temperature of bath is high, then viscosity of size would be less and vice versa. If the cooking time is more, then viscosity would be less. These are the technological things that need to be considered during the sizing process so we can get optimum efficiency of this process. Further, the effect of sizing percentage on end breakage, or you can say sizing percentage on the fabric strength. Here the sizing percentage and end breaks at low size percentage end breakage is high, good sizing percentage and breakage decreased up to 50%, and at standard size percentage further end breakage percentage decreased. At optimum level end breakage further decreased, and then at high size percentage end breaks increases. At very high percentage end breaks further increased, and in the next step extreme size percentage end breaks increased. Here you can see at low percentage end breaks is 70, and at extreme percentage end breaks is 70. At good size percentage M break is 50, and a very high percentage size percentage end breaks is 50. It means the trend you can see in the graph, it means very optimum size percentage should be done to the warp yarn during this process. A very low size percentage um, we would not sport in the next process, or increases the end breakages, are not supportive for the fabric strength. In the same case, very high percentage of size material would also be not supportive for the end breakage or the fabric strength or fabric manufacturing process. So we should done in optimum stage. And in the other case, in case of high percentage, we would go to the two losses. One is waste of size percentage or the size material, and second is drawback would be efficiency loss or breakages increase. Further technological changes due to sizing increase the breaking strength during the sizing. Adhesive material creates bonds between fiber to fiber, which increases the strength of yarn. It increases 20 to 40% breaking strength of yarn. It has a great impact, 20 to 40% strength. Increase abrasion resistance after the sizing. The gap between the fibers are filled with the size and coating on the outer surface of the yarn take place. And the next increase the stiffness after the sizing. Flexibility or pliability of the yarn is decreased and stiffness increased. Increase in elasticity as extension stability of the size yarn decreases, more force has to be applied to extend the yarn, hence elasticity increases. This is the positive gesture for the uh, warp yarn, warp beam or the size material. Next, increase frictional resistance. Application of size material makes outer surface of the yarn smooth and hence occur less friction. As we have discussed in the initial slides, that the function of sizing material is also smoothen the yarn, increase the yarn diameter. Definitely when coating is applied on the yarn, diameter of the yarn will increase. Decrease in extension after the sizing. The gap between the fiber does not occur easily, so the extension decreases. Decrease in electrostatic charge. Electrostatic charge is formed due to friction between the yarn and roller. Size material contain moisture which reduce the static friction. And the last, decrease hairiness during the sizing. Protruding hairs of the yarn fix with the yarn and so yarn hairiness decrease. This thing we have discussed in the initial slides. As after the sizing material, yarn becomes smooth, so protruding fibers and the yarn appearance becomes smooth, and protruding fibers stick to the main body of the yarn, which decreases the hairiness of that yarn. In the last, we discussed about disadvantages of sizing. Sizing has following disadvantages. You can, but it is very important process of the weaving. We cannot ignore or we cannot skip the process for the fabric manufacturing. However, it has some disadvantages. These are falling cost of land and machine is high, required a lot of labor, requires utility like gas, electricity, and their cost is high. Cost of ingredients itself, ingredients are used, so it has some cost. Process is long and it takes time. There is a risk of degradation of yarn if properly sizing is not done. Then degradation of yarn can be occur. Yarn diameter increases, requires robust looms. It increases the yarn stiffness, and the next fabric needs to be desized before use. As after the gray fabric is manufactured, in the next step, you can say processing before dyeing and printing. This sizing is removed. That is the part of that process. Need knowledge and information about the sizing ingredients, very important thing. And there is a risk of pollution. Sizing changes the shade of colored yarn. 100% size material cannot be removed. Size material presence leads to uneven yarn dyeing. So these are the disadvantages of sizing. But sizing is most critical or most important process of the weaving or fabric manufacturing. Hope you would understand some concept about the sizing, and we will see you in next video with another topic. Thank you, Allah Hafiz. Thank you.